What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Real Fans Podcast, episode 25. And today we have a special guest with us, one of our fans that reached out to us and wanted to join the show. So we decided to bring him on. Why don't you introduce yourself, Will?
What's up, guys? I'm Will, originally based out of Orlando. Exactly like Julian said, I just saw the page and at the game, I had some knowledge, had some things I think, I know a little bit about the game and just wanted to come on here and talk and share with you guys a little bit. So,
yeah. So what's your favorite team? Give us so your background, your national team, your local team, your European team.
Yeah. Well, I would have to say national team. A little bit about me. I'm Panamanian, so going with the guys right now. Been riding number 3 in Concacaf, so we're riding that wave right now. Feeling good, but that's my team. Like I said, based out of Orlando, so I'm an Orlando City guy. Like them, repping that a few days ago. So Manchester City, but yeah, nothing too crazy with them, but.
He's one of the 5 fans they have.
Yeah. seven fans. Yeah.
7 fans. Oh, my bad. I forgot. But what's the first topic, Adam? Run away.
Well, of course, we've been kind of waiting to see how this would play out. We did talk a little bit about signings, but we got to start with the Miami World Tour. It made me swear to God I almost wanted to quit because of it. Like, seriously. Like, what's the fuck? Like, that's how bad it was.
Somebody get Adam a plane ticket for the next World Tour so he can feel better. Take him to Saudi Arabia. Take him see that Ronaldo Messi 2.0 because they're going to do it again next year for sure.
Yeah.
There's no way they don't
have to,
right?
Because Ronaldo was hurt.
Watching, I
know
it's a little out of order, but like whatever, we'll just roll with it. Watching Ronaldo on the sidelines, every time they pan to him, he just looked like an evil villain. Am I like crazy? He just
really does. I mean, he is kind of an even villain. The man just took the Saudi money, and now he's the villain.
Dude, it was so funny just watching his reactions. It was like the typical Ronaldo reactions you would expect, like just seeing him just like giving smirks and like smiling and just kind of laughing. Like, oh man, and he was just sitting by himself, no one by him. No, he was fully focused on that game. And you could tell it kind of stroked his ego of like, yeah, I was the one who made the right choice. The Saudi League is better than MLS, which I don't think it is, but it's not. I mean, sure, the top might be good.
The bottom
is,
the top
is
3
atrocious.
Teams. Because for those who don't know, it's only like the top 3 or 4 teams that are state owned, that are owned by Saudi Arabia, and then the rest are just, clubs. So outside of those 2-3 teams, maybe 4. I don't know. I don't remember.
I think it might
somewhere
be
around
4.
that. I think it's 3 or 4. I don't remember exactly, but I think 4 is. If you pressured me, I would say 4. Yeah, they're because they poach all the talent. I was saying like when we were watching the first Saudi Arabian friendly, I was like, what? This guy was playing for Wolves last year in the Premier League. Ruben Neves,
dude. Mikel from
in the
Flamengo
Premier League last year.
That's Neymar's team, like that's the one he got signed to. Like,
yeah, and he's fucking hurt too. So you couldn't get anybody playing again. That would have been fun too. They really didn't think about that. I hope
the keeper. The keeper. Why am I drawing a blank on his name? They had Laporta.
The Al Nassr keeper.
No, the Al Hilal keeper, the Colombian keeper played at
Ospina.
Yeah, Ospina. Yeah, played at Arsenal. That's your boy, Adam. What are you talking about?
I like Ospina. He's one of the few. He's one of the only Colombians I've actually really liked.
Wow! Whoa! Shots fired! Damn.
What? I'm always
James Rodriguez right now.
I always root against Colombia. I just do. I don't know why. I mean, I think it's just a South Florida thing. Like they're so passionate that it just annoys me. Like they're not the largest minority, but they're definitely the loudest, and I see it whenever they have a game. Like it would annoy
they're
me in
like the
high school.
second largest.
Every single time I would go to school and there was a Columbia game that day, oh boy, the fucking yellow jerseys are out.
You would know.
Oh,
you knew they
there
had a
was
game going on that day.
I was like, oh, there's a Columbia game today. I was like, thanks, guys.
But yeah, back to the preseason. I guess I'll give my thoughts as a whole, and then we'll just bounce around. So, like, my thoughts as a whole is, man, from a PR perspective, it was bad. It was bad. I think from a money perspective, I guess it was great. It was they made, they did what they did.
Yeah, you
but
have to
from a
assume
PR
they made a lot of money.
perspective, it was bad. I mean, I thought it was embarrassing. We didn't win a single game. Like it was ties and losses.
Zero
tied to El Salvador. Look, first game, whatever. That's a terrible field. Things happen. The El Salvador team was obviously trying their heart out. Like that was like their World Cup final. Yeah. Then you go to Dallas, where it was disgusting, cold, wet, rainy day in the Cotton Bowl. Then you travel all the way to Saudi Arabia against a team that's, I would say, superior to us, which they are. There's just way more talent on there. I thought they put up a good fight against Al Hilal. I thought they lost the game in the first 20 minutes, and they just because the defensive line is just so bad, and that's just the MLS problem as a whole, but especially a Miami problem. It's just so bad defensively, and just let up a lot. But then they came back and nearly tied the game, and then the Al Nassr game was just an utter blowout. Just everything fell apart. And the thing too is what I guess the Saudi League standings is Al Hilal is actually the better team. They're top of the league. So look, people are going to say what they are going to say about that 7-0 loss, but like, it's just one of those games. Like Barca won 7-1, lost 7-1 to Bayern. It's just one of those games. I don't think that's super telling about like the level, because that Al Nassr team is worse than that Al Hilal, and they might even played way better in there. Then you go over to Hong Kong, which Messi didn't even play. People lost their mind, wanted refunds, vandalizing everything. And I think, honestly, from a fan perspective, I'd be pissed too with how much they paid and all this stuff. And dude didn't even touch the field. But then he goes the next game to Tokyo, plays for 30, 40 minutes. So I don't know. But I mean, look, as somebody who's flown, I've personally flown to Asia. I know how fucking exhausting it can be. I know people are going to say like, oh, they fly first class. It's amazing. It's incredible. All this stuff. Like, but dude, time zones are a fucking bitch. It's not the flight. Yeah, you can sure. If I got my own room and a bed on an airplane and it's comfortable, I'm chilling. Even though I don't think they're actually traveling like that. But it's exhausting. Yeah, they might be flying nice, but just sitting on an airplane back and forth out of airports, dealing with time zones like that shit is tiring. I mean, think about when that game was. That game was at 4 a.m. Like, like you haven't adjusted a couple days notice. Like it's tiring. And they come back here, played the final game last night. I thought they looked good.
Yeah, they looked a lot better.
See, here's the weird thing with this whole preseason, and then I'll bounce it over, is we played so many teams from so many different leagues and so many different levels. I can't tell how good this team is. Like, I don't know how good they are, because one moment you play El Salvador, which is a team that's trying really hard. I think on paper we should be better, but that was their first game. Okay, so, and then Dallas also in preseason. It's weird, but then you go to this Saudi Arabia, which is a team in the middle of their season. They're on the Asian Cup break, and then you go to Hong Kong, which is supposedly like a borderline amateur team. Then you go to Vissel Kobe to the J League, which the J League is very respectable league. It's solid. I don't necessarily think it's as good as MLS, but it's a solid league, and they're the champions. And then you go play New Old Boys, which are not a good team from everybody I've asked who watches the Argentinian league. And honestly, how do we necessarily rate the Argentinian league? Because I think the top is good, like River, Boca, Racing Club, the bottom of it, like how good are those teams? I think those bottom teams aren't as good as MLS, personally, from what I've seen. I don't know. There's no way to find out unless they do a Leagues Cup format. But it's so hard to judge because I don't think you can really judge this team until they play MLS teams. So,
and they haven't been playing a consistent lineup and tactic. Really, it's been mishmash. You don't know which lineup's going to play. Everybody's playing with somebody else, I guess, aside from like the Barca guys. He tries to keep them all on the field for the most part. So that's another thing. It's just there's been so many teams and like there's and then he'll do like a full team swap in a friendly, like pretty much everybody by the 60th minute in the second half is a different player. And some of those guys you want them to start on the team so they're playing well and they're still good, but at the same time he subs in a lot of people who are going to be bench players. So it's hard to judge because you see the sparks, but nobody that you really I don't think we've had a friendly where our best 11 actually started. I really don't think so.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts, Will, as an outsider?
Yeah, I think, like you said, I think that's so underrated, the traveling. Like, people don't really think about it, because I remember, like you said, the first game was El Salvador. It was about like 2 weeks ago, that first game.
Yeah, probably around there. Yeah, probably.
I mean,
it's like
2 weeks.
3 weeks. Yeah, probably 3 weeks. Yeah, probably.
Right. So you play a game in San Salvador, you take a flight to Dallas, and then from Dallas you fly to Saudi Arabia, and then from there you go to you said Japan, and then you come back home. Hong Kong,
and then Japan.
And then Japan.
Hong Kong. Exactly.
And then coming home.
All right. So you're playing.
That's an underrated distance too. Hong Kong to Japan is actually, it doesn't seem that far on a map, but like you put that side to side on the United States.
Yeah.
Dude, I think that might be farther than the United States. That's like probably Mexico to New England. Like that's.
Yeah. And there's distance on it. And like you said, these guys, obviously like the Barca guys, it's a big deal. You're trying to get out there. I don't want to say it's a money deal, but you're going and you're going to draw crowds. Obviously in Hong Kong, you guys probably saw the crowds, going ballistic with Messi not playing. So, it's a money deal. But you have these teams also that are wanting, because for a lot of these teams, I think if I'm not incorrect, Noel's, obviously this was a big game for them, Messi's childhood club, but it was also, they just started their season, the La Liga Argentina, I think like a few weeks ago, so they're really trying to get into the run of things, and get their season going. So I think, obviously talking about it, it wasn't perfect by no means. It wasn't, I don't even know if you guys would say it was a good preseason for Inter Miami, but
I think from a sporting perspective, the only advantage I will say, the only good thing I would say from a sporting perspective is that you got to face some high level talent, specifically playing in Saudi Arabia. And I think that's a good warm up.
Talent that you're not going to face in the MLS.
Yeah, talent you're not going to face.
Talent.
So like,
you're just not.
Yeah, no matter what, you're not going to play another Mikel. You're not going to play against another Ruben Nieves, or like you're not going to play against, or what was the guy he scored the hat trick at Al Nazar. He played super well. I cannot remember his name to save my life. I'm so bad with the names right now.
I will tell you.
The striker with the blonde hair. But regardless,
Talisca.
Talisca. Dude, just bodied our defensive line.
God, dude.
Absolutely.
They mean just poach Brazilians too. It's a smart strategy. It's like, who's balling out in Brazil who never really got a chance?
Yeah, Savic,
Milinkovic-Savic. Yeah.
So, dude, I mean, yeah, I'd say that's the one positive is you got to see some real quality.
Yeah.
So no matter what you face this year, it probably won't be as good as that.
is a fucking beast.
So from sporting perspective, that's the best I can get. But the negative is like kind of what I said is you're not playing teams that you're not warming up against teams you're actually going to play against. So and then also too, like I would say those role players, those bench players, the academy players, they didn't get any time, which they would normally get in a regular preseason because everybody wants to see Messi, Suarez, Busquets, all these people. So like they're playing a lot of minutes. And now we have all these young players. So last night was the first time they actually got to really get some field time. So because usually the preseason is like stars going to come out 30 minutes, Everybody else was trying to make a roster spot.
Yeah.
I think now it's kind of tough for these players to figure out who's going to be who. But yeah. So I do want to transition, staying on Miami, but so reports came out from the Athletic that they're in major salary cap trouble. So in the middle of the game last night, I guess it was announced right before the game that Gregory is going back to Brazil. So that's going to alleviate a ton of cash off the books.
That's about $1 million a year that we pay.
Yeah, so pretty much off the books to say, because I was wondering it myself. I'm like, man, with the rumors of Redondo coming from Argentina, coming over to Miami, like, how are you going to make all this fit? It's weird that they're getting another central defending midfielder when you already have like 5 of them on the roster. So it's like it was hitting a point where it's like, all right, there's moves that have to be made just because I think roster lock is Monday, I want to say. So they have to be making moves soon. And I think Gregory's not going to be the first. I think there's going to be other more moves.
I'm hearing rumors also that Coco Jean is also they're trying to
he's got to go.
They're fielding offers for him, and I've even read that if nobody wants him, they're just going to terminate the contract. Which
he's making like $800,000 a year. They're either going to buy him. They're probably going to buy him out because the dude hasn't seen the field in 2 years. And my guess is you're probably going to see Christoph gone. And then
that's that center back, right?
Yeah, the Ukrainian center back.
Right.
I don't think they're going to get rid of Robert Taylor because I think that left side is in deep need, especially with Farias gone and injured, torn ACL for the rest of the season. So I don't see him gone. People say that he's on the trading block, but I don't know. I think Jean Mota is a guy to look out for the trading block. He might be gone. I think he is going to be gone actually because he's making a lot of money and probably going to be gone too. So I think 2 more moves are going to happen to clear up space. So Gregory obviously was a big one. Sad to see him go. He was our MVP in 2021. He was a monster bulldog, but it just doesn't
fit. Captain.
It just doesn't fit with what the team wants. They want to be more technical. They want to get away from the physicality. They want to get ball playing central defenders. So Redondo and Busquets together, that should be pretty nice.
That's a good duo. It's a good duo.
So yeah, I mean, who do you see, Adam? Is there somebody I mentioned that? Oh, obviously Kogo's I think is gone, but is there somebody I mentioned that you think could be potentially on the books, be gone?
I think those are the big ones, really. I would be. I wouldn't say surprised because if they really are in trouble, some moves might have to be made. But I think with Gregor out and Coco out, if you're saying one more player needs to go, probably Mota.
You think Christoph stays?
I mean, he's getting old, so at this point, like, he might just retire. They might just say, "Hey, you want to retire or whatever." Like, I don't know if it would be like, "Oh, they're terminating his contract," or I mean, he's not that old. He's 32.
He just looks.
Maybe I'm a little wrong. He just looks older. He's gray hair. I probably should take that back.
He looks about like 35. I'm not gonna.
He looks old, dude. He does look old.
His gray hair throws me off, but.
The only thing is, I don't know. You need the depth. The problem is he's slow, and with the way this team plays, the team that's slow, is very susceptible.
But I do like. I think he's the best defender we have on the ball, though. That's the problem. People like Sailor, they fucking don't know what to do with the ball, and they give up a goal like last night. Christoph, I actually don't mind him on the ball. I think his distribution is very good. He's assisted goals for us, like good assists, where it's like, damn, that's a good fucking pass.
I thought that new guy, Freire, was pretty solid last night. I thought from the little bit I saw, obviously it's the first minutes that he played about 45 minutes, but he didn't look too bad. But yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll see. We're going to see Monday when everything kind of sets, but I think we should expect to see 2 to 3 more moves. Well, I don't know how much you follow the team and if you want to give your input of who you think might be gone.
I will say, talking about the center backs, I'm a Kamal Miller simp. I've loved the guy ever since the World Cup. Just watching his style. I mean, you guys probably remember the Croatia game. When he stood over Luka Modric, and He's like staring him down, talking to him, And I don't know, just like Kamal Miller, I saw him in the Leagues Cup last year when you guys went on that, I'll say, infamous run, to win the whole thing. Kamal Miller, I think genuinely was a massive part, obviously from being a center back, to taking PKs against FC Dallas, and he was massive. He was a big part of the team. So I think seeing him go to Portland, definitely, obviously being a Kamal Miller fan kind of hurt. It was like, Portland, I mean, they'll still have a good team for him, but I think Kristoff, in general with center backs, you guys probably want to keep him. I don't know the depth too much into Inter Miami's CB, but he'd probably be a guy with leadership. So
no, I loved Kamal, and from what all the reports were saying was that the deal was too good to give up. So apparently Miami's plan was to keep him. Tata wanted him to stick around. But the deal was just too good. The amount of, they got like over $1 million in GAM, I want to say, and they relieved him off the books. So because he kind of fits the Tata system. Like, he can play the ball out of the back. He can be technical. He can get forward, and he's fast enough. He's not fast, but he's good enough to get back. There's a couple moments last year where he's able to get back and break up the play. So from what everybody's saying, it seemed that they didn't necessarily want to get rid of him. It was just, it was too sweet of a deal. And with how tight things are coming with salary, it's like, you're going to need that money. So it sucks to see him go, because I would have loved to see him stay. I thought he fit the team really well. So, and I think he's going to be desperately missed this season. But yeah, you guys want to talk some Champions League, Concacaf Champions Cup? My bad.
Yeah, so we actually got the first matches underway, and the first legs, or not legs, but the actual matchups have been completed. So it's not like Champions League of Europe, where we're gonna just be talking about the first leg. We got results.
Which I will say that's weird that how they did it. Where
the
it's
style.
These matchups are going to be the first 2 weeks, and then the next 2 weeks. It just seems like such a long break. It just seems so weird that Vancouver's playing early February, and then the rest of the MLS teams are not, or some of the other Mexican teams are not going to play until late February, early March. It's a weird setup, but I don't know. I guess we'll roll with it. But yeah. So first matchup was Club America versus Real Esteli. I think I'm saying that right.
Yeah, Esteli.
And they pulled off, team from Nicaragua. They pulled off an incredible upset that first game. I was actually watching that game and couldn't believe it. And Adam, in case you don't know, this team in general went on a Cinderella run in the Central American Cup. There was a team that beat Saprissa, which is the Central American Kings, pretty much. One of the best teams in Costa Rica. Most of the teams that made the final were from Costa Rica, the big three, my bad, from the league. And they made crazy upsets. They made it to the final, I believe, but then lost to Alajuelense. So this is a team that was already on a crazy Cinderella run, to the fact that they even made it to this position. And then they take off the most historic, well-known team in the entire region, probably in the entire hemisphere. So incredible feat. They ended up losing 2-0 in the following leg, but I thought it was it was an incredible feat to do what they did, even compete in this and lose on aggregate 3-2. That's awesome. But what's your thoughts? Did you get a chance to watch this matchup?
Yeah, I saw a little, kind of like you were saying about the format a little. Also, that was a little funny. I was thinking the leg 2 games were going to be next week for them. It kind of caught me off guard this week. I was like, oh shoot, they play this week. So I was like, okay, it's a little interesting, but I think it'll be cool. I think hopefully Concacaf could work with it and keep going. But yeah, no, that like you said, I mean, I got to brag a little bit about Real Esteli. Their team, like you were saying, so they were in the group. I can't remember exactly which group, but they were in the group with the champion of Guatemala, the champion of Panama, the champion of Honduras, who's Olympia, and then they were also with the champion of, themselves, and then one more team in that group. And they defeated every team in their group except the Panamanian team, which later they would end up playing in the semifinal and beat them. So it was basically a run, like you said. They beat, the Honduras champion. They beat Saprissa in the quarterfinals. They beat the Panamanian team. So they're beating all these high-level teams. And it kind of got to a point where it was like thinking, when are they going to slow down? And they never really did. Even against America, I remember watching the first game. Their first goal came, I don't know if you guys saw it, the Brian Bonilla, the chip, from the penalty spot, which was just
I saw it. Yeah,
that's nasty. He
Ballsy.
does that. His celebration, he just does it. And it's like, wow, this team, nobody's stopping him. And obviously the second leg, I kind of saw it with Club America. I don't want to say waking up, but kind of realizing, saying, hey, we got to start to get the ball rolling. And I don't know, but like I said, hands down, Real Estelí, I saw reports like within Mexican media, they were calling this already a disaster, even regardless if they would have beat Estelí 7-8-0, in the second leg, they still said it was a secondhand embarrassment to lose the first leg 2-1 the way they did. So.
And shout out to it because they went up in Nicaragua, which is crazy. Like even like when you mentioned that cup run when they beat Saprissa in the quarterfinals, like on Costa Rican soccer Twitter, Saprissa was getting roasted. They were absolutely trashing him. All the Alajuelense fans were just talking shit. Like, how'd you lose to a Nicaraguan team? Like, bro, I'll be honest with you. I've never even heard of it. I couldn't name outside of that team. I couldn't even name you another Nicaraguan team. So when I heard that they lost, I was like, "Yo, it's crazy." But Adam, I don't know if you got a chance to see any of it. I know you.
I got a chance to see a little bit. I saw more of the second leg, which is kind of unfortunate. Because the first leg would have been very interesting to see. Probably a fun watch that one was. But it was just overall it was a great team performance from Club America. They did play more how you expected them. It's only 2-0. So I like you were saying, Will. I'm sure in the Mexican media they're not happy about this. I completely get it, but they have high expectations. This is a team that is expected to at least get to the semifinals with the talent they have on the field.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see how this goes. I think
they tied the first game.
How?
No, am I crazy?
I think they lost. America.
No. Yeah. Club America lost.
No, America, they straight up lost. Okay. No, they won 2-1. That's right.
Yeah,
it was 2-1. My bad. Yeah. I was gonna say I thought they won 1-0. For some reason in my mind, I remembered them winning 1-0.
Yeah.
I'm stupid. Disregard what I said. But yeah, all right. So let's move on to the next game. So we had Chivas versus Forge FC. The first time we are seeing a Canadian Premier League team in the Champions Cup. This actually really interests me. So I wanted to watch this. I made sure to watch the first leg. I missed part of the second leg, but I was able to catch the end. Quite honestly, there wasn't really much to see. It was Chivas kind of put on a clinic against this team. I was curious to see it as a new league entering this new format and this new tournament, which I'm not going to lie, it kind of bothers me that they get automatic berths through league play, but yet Central American teams have to go through another tournament to get in. That's just something that's a little pet peeve of mine.
Fucking Canadian. Like. Yeah, I mean, come on, look at this team, bro. The
fact that
no offense, but
they get two teams with automatic berths.
This is like a USL Open level team.
Yeah, I would say that.
USL,
I was going to ask you if you know
US Open Cup level team.
Yeah, I was going to say if you know probably what they're like based off what you saw what their level is. I would say probably a USL, like maybe a mid-table USL team. I don't even know if they're as good as some of the best USL teams, honestly. But when I saw the new format, I'm like, dude, how are they going to give two? I mean, I get it. It's their national team. They should get two berths. But how do they get two berths? But yet all these Central American clubs, especially in Costa Rica, where we've always performed semi-well in these tournaments that we had to go through a whole other tournament. We have to go through a whole other tournament just to get into this. But anyway, that's a little off topic. But yeah, so obviously the brand new signing at Chivas, Cade Cowell, the young American who went over, which is kind of funny because Adam, I don't know if you know this, but Chivas only signs Mexican players. They don't sign any foreign players. They had one instance a couple years ago where they signed I believe a Colombian player or Peruvian player. But
does American count?
He is actually Mexican descent. He has a Mexican passport. That's what I was going to say. He's Mexican American. Yeah. But it's funny because he represents the United States in the Olympics.
Spanish, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, and he's going to represent the U.S. in the Olympics in Paris this summer. So it's just kind of funny.
Leon Han. Who's this guy? Leonardo Sepulveda. It also lists him as American, 22-year-old left back.
I don't know. I'd be honest with you.
He definitely sounds like he has
profile and see where he came from.
He definitely says
Mexican. Came from LA Galaxy. He's definitely Mexican.
Yeah,
but he's definitely Mexican. But yeah, Cacao absolutely balled out. Kind of what you expect, though. I mean, how much can you take into consideration? This is a Forge team that, like you said, maybe a mid-table USL team, not very good at all.
A Spanish goalkeeper,
but
too.
I will say,
click on all these fucking players now.
Okay, I will say though that I thought Forge, for their first time, they didn't get embarrassed. Okay, they lost 5-2 on aggregate, but it could be a lot worse.
It could have been worse.
It could have been worse. Yeah. Okay.
Julian, guess where the goalie came from? Spain. I think Spain. That's where he came from. Yeah.
Guadalajara. I mean, maybe
Real Zaragoza.
Maybe they have passports. I don't know. I don't know how it works. I just know that they only sign Mexican players. Yeah. I don't know how they get around that, what they do. I just know that's like a thing.
I don't know if y'all saw the video, but there's like a video of Cade Cowell. They put like a cowboy hat on him. It's like in Guadalajara. And like, he doesn't speak the best Spanish, right? And Chicharito, they signed him also. And he's in the video and they walk up to Cade Cowell and they tell him to say like some bad word. I forgot what it was. And he says it and like the whole team's like dying and they're laughing at him. It's like, man. But he seems to be getting pretty used to the team, though. So it seems like they like him a lot.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, is Chicharito still hurt? I guess. I don't know if... Okay, here it says he's supposed to come back late March. So maybe he comes in if they make it far enough down the road. It'd be cool to see them... see him play later on in the tournament. But yeah. All right. So let's move over to what was probably the most competitive matchup, which was Tigres versus Vancouver. So the first leg of this was really weird. Vancouver couldn't play in their home stadium due to scheduling conflict. So they played. Dude, I wanted to see where this stadium was. So this stadium, I don't know how well you know Vancouver and how all that landscape is, but there's like a ton of islands. Vancouver essentially played on like a whole other island that you had to like take a ferry to get there. Like there's no like bridge or anything. So they played all the way over there in, I don't know, maybe a 10,000 seat stadium, but it was very funny. It gave me straight up like USL, like old school, like USL vibes when I was watching it. But yeah, this is a Vancouver team that I wasn't super high on going into this tournament. I'm not super high on them going into the league. I didn't really expect much out of them. They didn't sign a whole lot of players. I do like their keeper, the Japanese keeper. He's very good. Every time I watch him play, he seems to be playing really well. And this is a Vancouver team that obviously got in through the Canadian Cup. So, like I said, they weren't the toughest team. Canada's team, Montreal, Toronto, and Vancouver didn't have the best years last year, especially Toronto and Montreal. They had terrible seasons last year. So they kind of got in pretty easily, and they're going up against a Tigres team, which I don't know if they still are. They probably are the highest payrolled team in North America. They're a team that's completely stacked. Gignac, Quinones, like so good. Like there's just such a good team. They play super well together, and Gignac is probably that dude's probably been the best player in this continent for the past like 5 years. What an incredible signing by Tigres like years ago.
Yeah,
that's a guy. I think he could have still been playing in France. Honestly,
I think he still could go back like tomorrow.
Yeah, 38 years old. He could absolutely be a veteran voice there, 100%. But I do want to point out though, and at least this is just my opinion. You Julian probably could call me out if I'm being kind of biased here. Not really biased. I don't know if that's the right word, but I think especially I know Tigres is a good team, and I know we expect them to go far. But you look at Vancouver, and the way they lose 4-1 aggregate. And then you think to yourself, and yet there was still 4 Jeff C that were in this fucking... Like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, Vancouver can't even win a game, so why are you gonna put in a Canadian Premier League team just automatically? It doesn't make sense to me.
I mean, I guess because you need to put in... I get it, though. Like, you need to put in, like... Because Vancouver's not a part of the National League, so, like... the domestic league in Canada. So like you got to put in people from the actual league, which makes sense. It's kind of like
they play the Canadian Cup, which I can understand. The Canadian Cup, you can give a birth to that. I'm not complaining about that.
But it's always either Vancouver, Toronto, or Montreal. It's always
exactly one of the
yes. Always.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, the team not very good against the Tigres team. I thought even the 1-1 victory was pretty solid. I mean, also you're considering that Vancouver hasn't played a game in like 3 months.
Yeah,
this is like their first game, and it's a Champions Cup game against one of the favorites. Which is pretty crazy. So I'm not surprised.
I really like their
goalie.
I think they have an excellent goalie. I think he's one of the best goalies in the league.
Yeah. He plays really,
and he's got such a great name. Yohei Takaoka.
Yeah. Dude, I don't know if you guys remember in Leagues Cup, he was one of the goalkeepers where they went like 20 rounds or something like that. Insane.
Yes. Yeah. I think that was against Tigres, wasn't it? Or
no, it was an MLS team. I'm pretty sure. I want to say. I know it was at Vancouver, like because I won't forget. I don't remember who that was. But
yeah, it was Leagues Cup though.
It was against Lyon.
Yeah. It was against the Mexican. Okay, yeah, and they won, right? Mm-hmm. They beat them.
They won.
No, they lost.
Hold on. They lost 16 to 15 in pens.
Crazy.
Wait, what?
That's a crazy number. That's a football number.
Holy Jesus Christ!
Yeah, they lost 6 because even like they block some, but then they both miss or whatever. It's insane. Yeah. But do want to end it off on the last game on Concacaf Champions Cup, Herediano versus Toluca. An incredible game, an incredible upset. You want to talk about an upset with Esteli in that first matchup against Club? Herediano beats Toluca to advance. After being down, let me pull up the stats here because they ended up winning on away goals, which I hate that they won't get rid of it. I don't know why they won't.
They've already done that in away goals. I'm pretty sure Europe, CONMEBOL. There's no more away goals.
Well, it's like they did half. They did
Champions League get away from that.
Yeah,
the regular Champions League. Yeah, I that was a great day for me as an Arsenal fan because the amount of times we've gone out on a fucking away goals, I don't even want to think about it.
But it's like I don't know, like CONCACAF does one step at a time. Like they changed it to a single leg final. Okay, great, that's what it should have always been. But then you still keep away goals. Like, come on, get rid of away goals. It's so dumb. But anyways, after being down 2-1 in the first leg, in Toluca. Wait, this was no, my bad. In Costa Rica, they lost down 2-1. Strong showing, but Toluca's the better team. You kind of expected that result. But then you go to Mexico, to Toluca, and pull off an incredible comeback. Toluca gets a red card in the 90th minute. which at that point the game was probably already over. But to come back and win 3-2 and then get 4-4 in aggregate away goal advantage is incredible to do what they did, especially in the 84th minute, being down 2-0. I mean, at one point it was 4-1 on aggregate, 4-1 on aggregate. And then Rojas scores 57th minute, Rodriguez scores 62nd minute, and Canales scores the 84th minute. Incredible comeback to see what they pulled off, especially on the road. As a coach, like no matter what team you root for in Costa Rica, you have to appreciate what they just did. Incredible. You got to embrace what they just did. It's an incredible run, and now they're going to go off and face Robin Hood, the Haitian team, which I'm not going to I think they're going to dog walk them. They're good. Oh, Suriname, my bad. They're probably going to. They're probably going to advance that. They're probably going to advance that round.
Since when?
So, pretty incredible to see. I thought that was an insane game. Will, what's your thoughts?
Idiot.
I don't know. I think honestly, if there's one word to describe, how it took down, it just has to be an absolute disaster class for Toluca, and not taking anything away from Herediano, big ups to their boys, like you said, Rojas, Alan Cruz, their goalkeeper, he had some fucking incredible saves in that first half to really keep them in the game, because they were, like you said, that first leg down 2-1. And then after that, what was it, 2-0 in the first half at Toluca, so next thing you know, you go into the locker room, you're down 4-1. Easily Herediano could have said, hey, we're done. Let's just get out of here. Let's not even worry about it. Toluca wins, but they didn't. But like I said, I have to just say Toluca, they have the game in their hands and completely just washed it away, and I realize that, like I said, never taking away from this team, because I have to say the level around CONCACAF, it's not getting lower, it's getting higher. These Central American teams, these Caribbean teams, and even as much as we dog on these teams in Canada, their level as well is getting higher.
It is. It is.
It is. So, and that's something that
have a league now.
Yeah. So they have teams that can compete now, and that's the thing. These teams in MLS, and even obviously the Canadian-based MLS teams and Liga MX, they got to realize these teams are up and coming. And Herediano, I remember in Central American Cup, they had a pretty solid, I don't know if you guys saw, they had a solid campaign. They made it to the semifinals, averagely decent. They did good in their group stage. But to come up to against, a Toluca, if I wasn't wrong, I was looking at it, I think they're like the 4th, 5th most championships, in Liga MX. So that's pretty impressive on the Herediano side. Like, this wasn't like Mazatlan, a pretty dog water team. This was one of their boys from Mexico. So I think it's good for them. And like you said, now they have to play Robin Hood, which, all due respect, I hope nobody from Suriname comes after me, after I say this, but I mean, they're going to dog on them.
Shout out to you if you watch us from Suriname. Shout out to you.
Honestly, well, but if somebody who actually can prove you're watching us from Suriname, I will buy a Suriname kit. I swear to God, I'm calling it right now. I'm not kidding. You fucking, I'm putting it. I'm putting my foot down. You say you're from Suriname and you prove it, I'm buying a kit.
I do want to mention one last thing on this Herediano team. Gallo, MVP of the match, played an incredible game. A lot of people are looking at this guy to be the future 6 of the national team in Costa Rica. He's been playing super well in the league. He's getting looks internationally. And right now, this new generation of Costa Rican players that are coming up, there's one position that's kind of missing. And, well, there's a couple positions. I will say that. You need a goalkeeper because Navas is not getting any younger. There's no 6 right now. There's a lot of 8s, a lot of wingers, a couple strikers. But you need the 6 is the most glaring hole on the national team. And seeing this kid Gallo play well against Toluca, and he's getting looks as somebody who's a national fan of La Selle in Costa Rica, like that's That's a big. I'm glad to see that. I'm glad to see him play well at a higher competition, and I hope it opens the eyes of players because we need more kids getting shipped off to even within this continent, like to MLS or Mexico or whatever. So yeah. All right. So that's our Concacaf Champions Cup recap. Next week, we're going to get a whole new slate of games and teams. So I'm really excited. Obviously, we didn't cover any game. Every game. We want to just kind of cover the big ones. Yeah. Because, I mean, Monterrey dog walked Comunicaciones. So, like, no point in talking about that. Team in a game. But yeah, so let's hop across the pond and talk about the UEFA Champions League round of 16 leg 1 matchups. And we're going to break it down in the order that they played, with the first one being Copenhagen versus Manchester City. I'll give it to you, Adam. What's your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, no surprises here. Absolute. I mean, what a player Phil Foden is. I just want to say that. I mean, if you've been watching the podcast, I don't know if I've even said it on the podcast, but I say it a lot to my friends. I think, and because of players like Luka Modric, he's definitely been overshadowed. Kevin De Bruyne is the best midfielder in Europe of the last 5 years, in my opinion.
He's a top 3 player in the world for the past.
Top 3, 100%. But people look at it and they go, "Oh, Modric won a Ballon d'Or." De Bruyne if Modric can win a Ballon d'Or, De Bruyne arguably should have one too. I mean, that's just how it is. Not everyone can have one. There's a million good players.
That Croatia one is
and that's big. It's big for them. And listen, he deserves it. But a lot of people deserve it. Sometimes. So De Bruyne, he's so good for them. Phil Foden is just having such a great run of form lately. Rodri continues to be a rock for them. They have some hiccups in the league. They're beatable. They're not, people always think like, oh man, that City team was so fucking good. Where are they going to go from here? It's hard to maintain that kind of level.
I see the optimism, Adam. I see the optimism from an Arsenal fan. They're beatable.
Well, they're not in first place.
Unless your name's Liverpool, they're not beatable. Unless your name's Liverpool.
They are, though.
Unless your name's not Liverpool or Real Madrid, they're not beatable.
They are, though. They are. This year, they're just, they just are. But Copenhagen weren't exactly going to be the test for them. They're going to have some tests later on. Copenhagen wasn't going to be it. This is pretty much expected, is where I was going to go with this.
Yeah, but you got to keep in mind, you're saying they're beatable, but De Bruyne and Haaland are back. And they look like they've not even skipped a beat. I think now that they're back, it's going to be really scary.
De Bruyne can snap his leg any day, though, to be honest with you. He's that kind of player.
Okay, are you going to rely on that?
Kind of. What else do I have?
What else? But they do treat Foden, though.
Like really,
Phil Foden stepped up big time.
Yeah.
When De Bruyne and Haaland were down, he was the main focal point at Manchester City.
And when they came back,
keeping him afloat.
When they came back, he scored a hat trick against Brentford. Haaland and De Bruyne were playing that game. He's the man of the match against Copenhagen with a goal and an assist. And against Everton, he had a good game, but didn't get any goals or assists. Still had a good game. He's been class.
Yeah. No. I think the biggest thing that came out good for Manchester City, obviously kind of like Julian said earlier, one of the 5 fans, seeing it is probably the draw. This draw was, I don't want to say the easiest draw, not taking anything away.
They had a Conference League draw. No, it's a Conference League draw. Just
right. We're taking on the team, one of the top teams.
And then they get Copenhagen. Like, come on, right after that.
Right. So this draw, as defending champions coming back, this is the ideal draw, I guess you could say, for these guys, because obviously Haaland's been injured in and out throughout the season. De Bruyne is just barely getting back into it, and a lot of, injuries all throughout the pitch, guys coming off. So with all that being, said, what they've been able to still do, handle business, get the job properly done. I think that last second goal, I think it was like the 94th, 95th minute. That was crucial. Going back to Manchester, taking it back to the Etihad 3-1, instead of it being 2-1, leaving a little bit of a glimpse of hope for Copenhagen, I think completely diminished it with the 3-1.
Exactly. So, totally agree.
Yeah, I can see that.
Well, they have a big game tomorrow. It's going to be fun. They're going to be playing Chelsea. I think they should be fine because Chelsea are dog shit. Now that's a team that's
people
beatable.
Are hyping up Chelsea like
Chelsea are fucking dogs. They're the worst run top club in. They're run arguably worse than Barcelona. Arguably, I'm not saying it's. I'm saying you can make an argument about it, but it's really like players that are really good are going to Chelsea and they're having horrible seasons. Look at how long it took fucking Mudryk to score. Arsenal wanted him. You think if he ended up playing as a winger at Arsenal, that he'd be struggling that much? I'm not saying he'd be the same, but is what we'd expect. But there's just no way.
So,
some of these players, they're getting the life sucked out of them, and the second they leave Chelsea, they're actually decent.
So also
I'm trying to think of a player
because I don't know if you guys saw. Obviously, Grealish and Silva got hurt.
Yeah.
So it looks like Silva is going to be ready, but Grealish isn't. So it looks like Silva's going to be ready to play against that Chelsea game, and Grealish isn't. But it doesn't seem super serious. It says muscle injury. So we shall see. Let's go over to the next game that happened during that game. It was Red Bull Leipzig versus Real Madrid in a game that was actually closer than a lot of people thought. I didn't sleep on Red Bull. I thought Red Bull so far, and from what everybody has been telling me out of the Bundesliga, is that they're a really good transition team and they're playing really well in transition. Obviously, they have the star kid, Xavier Sivens, and then you have Openda, who's been playing really good, even though he had a very poor game this against Real Madrid. I think this game, Brahim Diaz really stepped up and played really well. Obviously got MVP of the match, but I do feel like Bellingham was missed this game.
Oh, for sure.
I felt like even though Brahim Diaz did step in and did a really good job, winning 1-0 against RB Leipzig, I think is a little bit unacceptable for Real Madrid. I think you got to be way better than that. Not any disrespect to RB Leipzig. From what everybody's telling me about this team was built to play against teams like a Real Madrid. Be really good on the counter, be fast, attack quickly. They weren't very clinical. They had expected XG of 1.3 and obviously got no shots. My bad, 1.4 and 15 shots. Wait, why am I getting... This is weird. Hold up. My bad. Pause. Okay. Yeah, 14 shots, 9 on target, 3 big chances, and you get no goals. I thought Real Madrid was a little susceptible. Obviously, the injuries are catching up to them. But they were able to do what they needed to by Brahim Diaz pulling out an absolute screamer and taking the lead, and then pretty much held it out till then. Like I said, I wasn't super high on the Real Madrid performance, and that kind of worries me a little bit. But we'll see as time goes. Obviously, they're going to go back to the Bernabeu, and I think they're going to put them away.
Yeah,
playing in Germany is tough.
So. Yeah, it is. It's always tough. They have a very, very passionate fan base. Just look at Dortmund. You can never really count them out because that's one of the toughest places to play in all of Europe.
Yeah, I think we got to shout out Lunin. That guy, he is a...
Yeah, he had a great game. He had a really good game. That's part of the reason. Obviously, Real Madrid was down a man and then that forced dude, I don't know how to pronounce his name. I don't want to try. I don't want to disrespect him, but
just tell me the number.
Who I'm talking about. The number 18, the
Chuchumeni. Come on now.
Chuchumeni. Dude, I'm so bad with these Fortnite. I'm just so bad.
Chuchumeni.
Chuchumeni. See, I can't say it. Anyway, he had to go play center back. Chooch. He had to go play center back. Obviously, that's not ideal with Rudiger being out.
He can do it though.
Injured.
I fucking love Chuchumeni.
Yeah, he can do it. I tell you what, this
talent.
Yeah, he's so good. I'm curious to see what happens. Like if this whole Mbappe saga happens, like I feel like he's gonna be the one.
Where else is he gonna fucking go?
Like he's gonna be the one left off because you're not taking Camavinga off, and you're not taking Valverde off, and clearly you're not taking Bellingham off. He's kind of the odd man left out because I think they're gonna automatically switch to a 4-3-3 again, the traditional Real Madrid way. But yeah. A solid performance from Real Madrid. I thought they should have performed better. I think they gave up too many chances to Red Bull. And shout out to Red Bull for really putting up a fight. They're still in it. But I do expect going back to the Bernabeu they're going to put them away.
I think I think just going into that second leg, I don't want to say that Real Madrid didn't look like they were pushing, but it almost felt like, if I'm not wrong, they only made 2 subs. I think they brought on Josué. And then one other, I forgot who else they brought on, but it almost seemed like they weren't even pushing themselves.
Lucas Vázquez.
Right, exactly. Vázquez came on in just well. So, if they're only making 2 subs first game, it definitely
Jose
shows.
Lu, by the way.
Jose Lu. Thank you. My bad. My pronunciation. Butchered.
Yeah, we're all over the place.
But, if they're going to hold off to the subs and not even seem like, the whole game, it just seemed like kind of like a push and go, Vinicius would go, Rodrigo would go, and then kind of push back. And like you said, Jude Bellingham, I mean, when you're missing arguably the greatest player in the world right now at this moment, on the field, you're going to be lacking within some sort of talent, to bring to the pitch more and just to create some chances. But I think, in that second leg, I think Leipzig they'll definitely have a say. I don't think it's a prayer yet. I don't think they're out of it completely, but I don't see, especially if Jude, because the next leg won't be until March, if I'm not wrong. So give Jude some time, give the rest of the team, and then I think it'll be a tough one for Leipzig, but we'll see.
I mean, if they play like they did and just be more clinical in front of net, they can, and then you catch Lunin off guard, like they could tie it up. I mean, you never know. I mean, yeah, I guess we'll see. But I'm with you though. I mean, at the end of the day, this is Real Madrid.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
All right, so we can move on to the next matchup, which is definitely, without a doubt, this one's not arguable. I like saying arguably a lot, but this one's not arguable. It was the most shocking result, definitely. Bayern definitely one of the favorites. But Upamecano is probably the story of the game. He definitely, they weren't playing particularly great to begin with, but that's, red card penalty. What else can you say? That's just not good. Yes, it was in Lazio. It's just 1 goal. It's not the end of the world. But it was concerning. And if you think Bayern are favorites to win the Champions League, I think after this game you probably should think about that one.
Yeah,
the curse of Harry Kane. He's brought the Tottenham.
Dude, that guy is allergic to trophies. Like, but no,
they lost did they lose their Community Shield or whatever they call it?
Dude, they're gonna lose the league for the first time in 10 years. He went to the most winning team in the top 5 of Europe. And it's going to be the first year that they don't win it, most likely, because Leverkusen is unbeatable right now. I would love to see Leverkusen
only 5 points,
in Champions
but still,
League
yeah.
I would love to see Leverkusen in Champions League. It's a shame that they're not. I would have loved to see him, because sad thing is Xavi is going to be gone next year, probably to Liverpool. But Bayern, unclinical, dude. 17 shots on goal. 0 on target. 0 on target.
Yeah, that's
unacceptable.
It's unacceptable.
Nobody was clinical in front of net. Not Kane, not Musiala, not Muller's fucking pissed at the end of the game. Like no one
Muller's
did.
Muller's the only one on that team that's one of the few. I would say Muller and Kimmich are like the two that are, even if they suck, they're probably not going to have a bad game. Like if Bayern sucks, Kimmich and Muller, it's not their fault. Musiala is good too. Goretzka's good too. And I do like Min Jae Kim. Love a big Kim, the wall of Kim. Part of the wall of Kim in South Korea.
Yeah, I mean, it's just they just weren't. Kane didn't step up at all when you needed him to. No one did, honestly. And then then Upa's red card just said, I will say, Immobile had incredible run to even get that call. That dude was taking on like fucking 4 guys.
No, that was a great run.
It was an awesome run. He had an incredible game. I always like Immobile. I thought he's been pretty good. He's been one of the bright spots for Lazio, who's having a down season this year after having a really good one last year to get in this position. But obviously the captain, he was really the only bright spot for this Lazio team. It was a Lazio team really couldn't create anything.
Hey man, don't talk shit about my man Guendouzi.
But this has been a weird, inconsistent run for Lazio. They've been kind of all over the place. And I think if you're Lazio, I think this Lazio team is putting all their eggs in this Champions League basket. And they have a chance. Look, it's going to be super tough for them to go into Bayern and try to win. That's going to be tough. But the good thing is they showed defensive solidity. Look, there's a lot of time between here and now. So Bayern could absolutely turn it up and bring things back together. That's the weird thing with these long breaks. You never know because things can change mid-season and whatnot. But it's going to be a really tough ask for Lazio. I feel Bayern's going to come back and just take him away. But incredible win in Rome. Shout out to Immobile. What were your thoughts on it, Will?
Kind of the same, like you were saying, Julian. I think, kind of comparing, we were talking a little bit earlier about Club America Real Esteli. I kind of, to put it in a CONCACAF comparison, I would put this game of Lazio versus Bayern Munich exactly like Club America Real Esteli. You have a team.
Whoa, the Lazio disrespect. Wow.
In the sense of historical.
Lazio disrespect.
In the sense
you're saying Lazio's the worst team on?
No. I wouldn't say not the worst team, but in the sense of like that upper tier team. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So Lazio's kind of looking
not having a great season.
Right. So they're trying to.
But they're not. It's not Club America to Real Esteli, dude. That was no. I'm not gonna let you slide on that one. No.
I would say I feel like they're looking down upon, from like a looking up to Bayern, because obviously it's a hill to climb. And the reason I see the comparison is I could see both of these teams comparing Esteli and Lazio in the sense of saying, if we can get a leg, if we can get a result in the first leg, what can we do in the second leg? And obviously, like I think most people could agree Bayern is the favorite in the second leg, taking it back.
Yeah, they're still definitely the favorites.
In the same way.
We lost Will. Oh, you're back. We lost you for a second.
Almost lost you.
Yeah. Go ahead. You're good.
All good. I got you. But yeah, I think it's a hill to climb. Like I said, I think Lazio, if anyone can do it, it's definitely a team like them. Like you guys said, Serie A is not going well this season for them. They've really put a lot into the Champions League. They got out of a pretty tough group with Feyenoord, Celtic. Those aren't easy teams. So got to give credit where it's due. So I think that was pretty impressive by them. But I think the run will come up a little bit short. I think it'll be a good game, though. But I think Bayern has enough on paper and enough on the field, just enough experience in general within these situations to get them through to the next round.
So interesting stat. Bayern has only got eliminated out of the round of 16 once in 12 years.
Mm.
That's the only time they've only got eliminated once since then. So we'll see. I think Lazio could potentially do it. Like I said, 3 weeks is a long time. A lot can change. But
oh yeah,
I think if you sit back there and you take that heat, they could probably get it if they showed any glimpse of what they have the past couple weeks, and if Bayern continues to look like what they did against Leverkusen, what they looked against Lazio, like I don't see why they can't. You know what I mean? So we shall see. Let's hit the final game that was played, and that is PSG versus Real Sociedad. Man, this game brought me so many emotions because I picked the Real Sociedad upset. I thought Real Sociedad has looked really good the past 2 years, especially defensively. But the past few weeks and pretty much the beginning of this year, they've really struggled to score. They've been really good defensively, and Ramiro's in the net. They've been very stout, but they haven't been able to put away chances and create chances. Their only real chance creator has been Kubo. I love Kubo, big Kubo fan, but he got a little exposed this game. Obviously, he got left on an island with Mbappe, which resulted to Mbappe scoring, which, to be fair, they were down a man because guy was sent off the field to just later come back on, but then they run a set piece and then they end up scoring off of that. And Kubo's like ready for the transition play right after the corner, and then it just ends up finding Mbappe alone on the island, putting it away. But this kind of surprised me because I thought PSG did not look very good in that second half. I thought it was very well balanced. I thought Sociedad was potentially the more dangerous team, hit off the crossbar a couple times, should have put away a couple of chances. They had one guy had a wide open header on net and missed it. I thought Sociedad was the better team, should have scored, should have took the lead. But the same old story with them since the beginning of the season is they're doing really good 1-0 draws, 1-0 wins. But when you got a team with Mbappe, it's hard to, try to do that. I mean, you're talking about, in my opinion, the best player in the world right now.
And he can do it at any time. I mean, just ask Argentina. The stress that he gave them. I mean,
yeah, and so
a game that's like over, and he just shows up and just says, "Here you go." I mean, that's basically what's going on here. It doesn't matter what minute of the game is, if the game is still in the balance. Mbappe is someone to be worried about, and that's why he's going to be the big story this offseason. And
I thought PSG
we'll definitely be talking about it more.
Yeah, and I thought PSG coming into this game hasn't been looking super hot in the Champions League perspective. Obviously, it's hard for me to judge Ligue 1 or Ligue 1 because it's so below level now. It's really taking a dip.
Like in second place and third place is Nice and Monaco. I mean, you're taking a fucking step down. They're good teams, but you're taking a big step down.
And going and seeing how they performed in the group of the death, like they got out, they advanced, but they didn't look that great. Outside of the one Newcastle game, was the only game they genuinely looked really good. So I was really high. So Sociedad won the group with Inter and played really well and has been looking really good, like in general. So I thought they could pull off the upset. Look, it's not over yet. They're still going to San Sebastian, but until this team can be more clinical in net, I don't know if they're going to come back being down 2-0 against PSG, which honestly, Mbappe is going to get his. It's what's going to happen. So if it was 1-0, I'd feel more optimistic. I'm still rooting for Sociedad because I like seeing Paris lose. But what are your guys' thoughts on that game?
Yeah, definitely. It's just the Mbappe show. I mean, obviously they have some other good players. I think Donnarumma has been a disappointment for them. But
he had one really good save last game. I'll give him that. Yeah, I'll give him that.
But I just say in general. But aside from Mbappe, Hakimi is always going to be class. I think he's such a great player. Marquinhos has still got it. There's a reason he's the club captain. He's very, very solid defensively and good on the ball. So yeah, I agree. Sociedad, you really, I, I agree. I think that, you know, in the beginning when you see this drawn up and you look at the matches, especially in the Champions League, um, you're thinking to yourself, yeah, they have a chance for this one, especially because PSG haven't been looking so great. But you look to their really recent form, and it really hasn't been that great. So it's not a huge surprise how this turned out. Um, their last, aside from the PSG game, their last four, it's a 1-0 loss to Osasuna, and then 3-0 zeros.
Dude, they haven't scored in 6 games.
Yeah,
that's really
They haven't
bad.
scored.
I didn't know it was
6
that
games.
bad, but that's bad.
It's been a rough.
That's what I'm saying. They're great defensively, and they can even create some chances, but they don't have that clinical finisher.
Mm-hmm.
And like I love Kubo, and he can create chances, but he's not a finisher guy. He's not that guy. He's a guy. He's kind of So that's what made me nervous. But look, there's still a chance. I still have hope. But I think it's all said and done. I think that second half, that matchup was done and over in that second half.
Yeah.
PSG put their foot down. It was like a whole different PSG team going in that second half. They just dominated on all fronts, and there's nothing they could do about it. But what about you, Will?
Yeah, I think like you said, especially for Kubo, I'm high on this guy. Especially last year starting the La Liga, the 23-24 season, he came in. I mean, he was hot. This guy was hot on fire, scoring goals left and right. But as of late, it's kind of been a little bit, going through. I don't want to say through the mud, exactly, but he's been having a rough spell. And then he went out to. Correct me if I'm wrong. He went to the Asian Cup with
Japan,
yeah. And I mean, you guys saw the rest is history. After Japan, that was. I don't want to say it was a terrible, but it was right next to terrible of a performance for the Japanese.
The fact that Qatar, I don't want to go too deep in the Asia Cup, but the fact that Qatar went back to back in the Asia Cup shows how strong that league. It's very telling of that confederation. This is Qatar, probably the worst team to host the World Cup. Was terrible in the World Cup. Was not very good in the Gold Cup when they got invited, but yet they go back to back in the Asian Cup. It's like how the hell? And I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what too. Like the odds for them was very rare because everybody had South Korea or Japan. It was South Korea, Japan, maybe Australia. I forgot what the odds were, like plus 1,000, higher than that probably for Qatar to win. So the fact they went back to back is crazy, especially because the only time I've ever seen Qatar play was in that Gold Cup, the last Gold Cup, and the World Cup, and they looked atrocious. So I don't know how they went back to back and how Japan lost because Japan is so stacked.
Right.
The game.
I forgot who it was. I think it was Mari Satu. Or it might have been, I want to say it was one of their center backs came out and even said it. I don't know if I would have said this, out in public or on live air, but he said, we're a team full of individual guys. We're not a team. We're not a collective team. And, he's not wrong. And I think that was kind of one thing, speaking about going back to like we were talking about with PSG and Sociedad, Kubo, a lot of the guys on their team have this individual talent. Obviously when it came to the Asian Cup, it wasn't clicking on all fronts for him.
Yeah. So I guess while we're on the PSG topic, so look, I'm gonna bring it up. I know Adam doesn't like it, but because it's been the ongoing news thing. Is Mbappe leaving? Is he staying? So apparently, according to Fabrizio Romano, which take that with a grain of salt, however you want to take it, Mbappe has told his teammates that he's not coming back this summer. Look, if I'm a betting man, he's leaving. I think his time with PSG is done. The man wants to win Champions Leagues. He's not going to get that done being at PSG. Just, I don't know why. They get the talent. They have the money. they just can't get it done. I don't know if it has to be with the fact that they just don't play a lot of high level competition because how far that league has fallen. It has to be, in my opinion, it has to be because how far that league has fallen and not playing top competition,
especially with the long breaks, like you say. You brought up the long breaks. That has to play a part with the league too, because you're not playing Champions League for a while. You're playing all these teams. What if you have a really, really bad run of form? It's just one of those things. You never know. Or not a bad run of form. Rather, like, you have a run of where you're playing a bunch of bad teams is rather what I should say. Like a bunch of teams that are mid-table or bottom table in League 1. Now you're like, okay, so you could argue it's like having a month or two worth of friendlies, and then coming back to the Champions League. It's tough. It has to play a part.
Damn, calling it friendlies. Oh man, but I will say, like, to me, it's written in the sky. Like, he's going to Real Madrid. Like, there's no way he's going anywhere else. I did see, and maybe Adam, you got your hopes up a little bit. There was potential talks of him going to Arsenal, but there's no shot that's happening. I don't think Arsenal has the money. I would say Arsenal. That Los Angeles Rams money.
Yeah, Kroenke's sitting there. Yeah, he's sitting there smoking a cigar in SoFi Stadium. He can give a fuck.
Yeah, he's not. But man, could you imagine how hype would you be? How hype would you be?
It would be incredible. It would be over. It actually would be. So that's an argument you could make. I mean, if you really want to, like, just let's be honest. If Mbappe showed up on this Arsenal team, we're winning the fucking league, without a doubt.
I will say this: we're all talking hypotheticals, but if Mbappe goes to Arsenal, I think you've officially got your Messi, Ronaldo rebirth in Haaland and Mbappe. Because I think the only way to recreate that is the guys have to be in the same league.
Yeah,
they have to be in the same league, and they have to be rival teams. It's just, obviously, Arsenal, City aren't necessarily rivals, but they don't like each other either at the same time. But you got to get those two guys in the same league. But yeah, I mean, he's going to Real Madrid, and then Real Madrid is absolutely going to dominate La Liga, especially with the rate that Barcelona is at right now, just completely falling apart. They're just going to have no competition if he goes to Real Madrid. Real Madrid's just going to, I mean, the team already is just killing it without a striker. And and I'll be the first to say that I'm wrong. I thought Real Madrid was going to struggle this year without having a proper striker. I did not anticipate Jude Bellingham to be the scorer that he has become. I thought he was going to play a more central role, like more central midfielding role, because that's how he's always been. He's always been an 8. At Dortmund, he was an 8. In the championship, he was an 8. Like, that's what he was. And then he comes to Real Madrid, plays more of attacking position and a number 10 role, and he's scoring goals left and right. Incredible. I think even in himself, and Ancelotti, shout out to that guy, one of the best coaches of our generation, to be able to figure out that, hey, this guy's not an 8. He's a fucking 10. And he can play attacking ball, and he can score if you let him get up there. Incredible call by him. I would have never guessed it. I mean, look, and not to say that Bellingham didn't show attacking prowess before, but not to the extent of what I thought he was going to be. I thought he was going to be a little bit more Modric-esque, like, be up there, create chances, be a really good, one of the best midfielders in the world, but not to be like being such an offensive threat. I did not expect, and I'm sure a lot of people didn't. But yeah, what do you think? Well, what do you think the Mbappe saga ends? I know that, real quick, just as a heads up, I know he wants to get it done before the Euros.
Before the Euros, that's June, right? This summer, I know.
Late June. Yeah, late June.
Yeah, I hope he can get it done as soon as he can, whenever he's ready to get it going. Because this saga has been going on for, I mean, God knows how long.
Way too long.
way too long, right? Way
it's
too
like,
long.
come on, man, this is ridiculous.
Right. Yeah, I remember seeing this broke out. Forgot who it was. It wasn't Fabrizio, but it was somebody. I think it was Bleacher Report said something last week. It was official. And then other sources came out earlier this weekend. And then officially, finally, we saw a few days ago where Fabrizio came out and talked about it. But I think it's got to come to it will come to an end eventually. Obviously, I'm feeling, kind of like you were saying, Julian, I think Real Madrid's going to be his future home. I think Santiago Bernabeu is going to be excited to welcome him, the millions and millions of people in that city. But I don't know. I think it'll be interesting. I think he'll fit in well with the team. I've already seen pictures of people, with saying him, Rodrigo, Vinicius on the left, Jude Bellingham right behind them, so this team is going to be
scary thought.
Valverde,
Alphonso Davies
Courtois comes back, Militao comes, dude.
Yeah.
Camavinga, Camavinga's been playing really well, showing a lot of improvement this season. He looks good. He's a locked in starter now.
He can play anywhere. That's the best.
Yeah.
I mean, with
very
Camavinga,
versatile player.
On the field. Oh.
Dude, you're talking about Real Madrid if they get Mbappe, you're talking about probably having 3, potentially 4 of the best best players in the world. Top 10 players in the world you could easily say, for sure, Mbappe, Vinicius, and Jude Bellingham are in the top 5. They have 3 of the top 5 players in the world, and the other 2 is De Bruyne and Haaland.
I'd say so. I agree with that.
Yeah.
I agree with that list.
And so Real Madrid it's insane, and they might be the only ones to take down the City throne, honestly. This year and in the future, unless things fall apart in City next year, which I don't see that happening. Everybody's young, healthy, going to keep on playing. So the City team's going to be around for a couple years with this squad, most likely. And you're about to see some crazy battles between the two teams. I'm curious, where do you guys feel that this team ranks? Like if Mbappe was to join this team, which all signs are pointing to, where do you think this Real Madrid team ranks compared to the 3-peat run when you had Bale, Benzema, Ronaldo, Modric in his prime?
You can't say it's better unless they do the same thing.
Yeah.
You can't. Yeah. That's how they're going to measure it. I mean, it was just such a difficult thing to do. That I just don't think they would. I mean, you could argue it, but I don't think you're going to have a lot of people jumping to make that point.
Yeah, I think on paper, they could easily, anyone can make the argument and say that they're on paper stacked with that team. Obviously, arguably trying to say Mbappe compared to Ronaldo, Vinicius compared to, Gareth Bale, within your comparisons. But
the problem is, oh, go ahead. I
was going to just say Adam's right. They got to do it first, though, and if they don't prove that they can do it, because, I mean, PSG, let's be quite honest, a couple of years ago when they signed Messi, Neymar's there, Mbappe, there was all this talk of that's going to be the dynasty.
On paper, it's like, that's the dynasty, and they didn't win shit except for, I guess, the league, which we've already established is not really a thing. Yeah. It's a friendly cup for them.
Exactly.
I was going to say, I think Rudiger and Militao are solid. I think they're good players. But the one thing that they're missing a Ramos. They're missing a Ramos. That team had a prime Ramos, and they just don't. Those guys just aren't like for like replacements. Yeah. I think you've replaced Navas with Courtois, but you don't have a Ronaldo. That's your biggest problem. I think you don't have just a dog back there on that back line who's going to do the dirty work. But hey, if that attack gets the ball, the best defense is a good offense. So.
Yeah.
We shall see how that saga ends, but let's end it off on our final topic. So next week is the next round of games, and we're going to do quick predictions on the next 4 games, starting off with Inter Milan versus Atletico Madrid. and I'll start with you, Will. Who do you got in this game? Probably the most balanced matchup. Well, probably most balanced matchup.
Out of the 8 matchups, I'd say so. Man, it's a tough one. It's definitely a coin toss. I've got a couple friends of mine that are Italian. They're Inter Miami, or excuse me, they're Inter Milan.
We're taking over.
Yeah.
We know you said the bigger club first.
On social media wise, yes.
Definitely.
Is it really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. We have. Kidding me? Since the Messi thing?
But brand like Milan is still. This is a huge brand.
We have more. Inter Miami has more Instagram followers than every sports team in the U.S. except for NBA teams. NBA teams have more,
and that's just like the Lakers and the Warriors
and the Celtics.
That's crazy. That's just crazy to think about. But hey, that's Messi though.
Yeah,
just to go
exactly.
For a reason, so.
Exactly.
But yeah, I don't know. I think it's a coin toss. If I had to say, for that leg 1, it's being played in San Siro, if I'm correct.
Yep.
I believe so. Yeah, it's in San Siro. I think Inter should. I could see Atletico. They've been playing a decent form as of late, so I could see something happening. Potentially a draw. I know a draw would be big for them to be able to take something back home, but I think Inter has it.
I agree. I think Inter has it as well. It could easily be a draw, which I think would favor Atletico, but I do like Inter, and I think that it really could go either way. It's going to be a tough one, but if you had to make me pick, I'd pick Inter.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of with you guys. It's really a tough one because you're talking about 2 teams who play very similar, kind of play defensively and then live and die off the transition game. So I'm really curious to see which team's going to take the reins of holding possession. That's what really interests me. But I think Inter has just looked so dominant. Inter's looked so dominant in the Serie A. Atletico's been very inconsistent. They'll have one great game, beat Real Madrid, but then they get absolutely obliterated by Real Madrid in the Supercopa. So I don't know which Atleti we're going to get. You know what I mean? But with Inter, they've been so consistent with Lautaro Martinez scoring again today. I watched a part of that game today, played really good. And then Thuram, the Frenchman, amazing pickup. Dude has been incredible for the team. Those 2 duos up top have just been unstoppable in the Serie A and in the Champions League. The only reason why they didn't win the group stage is because they rested that final one. But it's a team that's healthy and is playing super well. Atletico is missing Morata, which has been their top goal scorer this year and has actually honestly been having a great year. And that's going to be a big miss. But Atletico is having an amazing backup in Memphis Depay, who I think is very underrated. I think he has a lot of technical skill, especially with the ball at his feet. And then obviously when you have Antoine Griezmann there, the guy's class. Yeah. Incredible. One of the best playmakers of our generation. So I think it's going to be a close game. Obviously, it's going to be at Madrid's advantage going back and playing that second leg in Madrid. But I got to go with Inter here. I think with the way they're playing, they're just rolling on a high. I think they feel like they need to make a redemption after they, in my opinion, should have won the Champions League final last year. I thought Lukaku costed them too much that champ. Which honestly, look, you weren't here at the time, Will, and I don't know if you were watching us back then. Probably not. But I had told Adam, I was like, I think Inter can do it because Inter is built in a way to play and win on the transition. And when you go back and watch that final, City didn't look good, and Inter was doing what they do best. And I think the only thing with these 2 matchups is that you're getting 2 teams that kind of do the same thing, very stout defensively. But Atletico, even though they're traditionally very defensive, they've been very leaky this year. They've been letting up a lot of goals. And I think Lautaro and Thuram are going to eat them up. And I got Inter advancing. All right. Let's go to the next game. We got PSV versus Dortmund. I think this is also another game. I think this week's gonna be pretty good games. But Will, I'll let you go first.
It's a tight one. It's a tight one for sure. I think PSV. They're coming in here. Shout out the Americans and Chucky Lozano, the Mexican. So a little bit of Concacaf love right there. Yeah, it's gotta love the Concacaf guys, but it's gonna be a tough one. I think Dortmund. I think realistically, they're having an okay, or I would say a below average Bundesliga
They're struggling.
season. Yeah, they're definitely struggling. And they're not doing, dog water. They're not fighting relegation, but it's not the best, for Dortmund standards, either win or get second place. So they're not there. But I think they've had a good Champions League campaign, coming out of arguably the group of death with PSG, AC Milan, Newcastle, and themselves. That's a tough group. So I think if
everybody
they can
had them getting eliminated. Everybody had them getting.
I had them getting eliminated. I thought they were going to get last place, but they proved everybody wrong. They came out there and they're some dogs. I have to say, Dortmund, the way they play on the field, and especially in European football, like these guys don't give up. They fight till the last whistle. So I think it'll be a tight one from the start a little bit. I think PSV will be able to hold themselves, but I still think Dortmund. I'm thinking like a 2-1, 3-1. Win for them in this first leg. So
yeah, I know Dortmund haven't been having the best of seasons, but I always rate Dortmund. I think that they are always a sneaky good team.
Yeah, this is tough because you have Dortmund. Yes, they play at a higher level league and they're a higher level team, but they are struggling versus a PSV team who is absolutely destroying the Eredivisie. I believe they're still unbeaten in the league. They're definitely first. Yeah, unbeaten.
Yeah, they're 20 wins,
2 draws, and 0 losses. Absolutely obliterating it. I thought they got, correct me if I'm wrong, Adam, they lost pretty badly to Arsenal. But you're talking about a whole other upper echelon of team. But against everybody else in the group, they looked really solid. Against the Lens, against the Sevilla, and obviously got through. So I think it's going to be a really interesting matchup. I think I'm going to go with Dortmund here. I think their quality is going to be too much. And I believe Dortmund is playing at home the second leg. Yes, they are. So I think that's at an advantage, having the wall on your side on that second leg. I have Dortmund getting through, but I think it's going to be pretty close. I really think this is going to be a close game. Somebody's going to advance by 1 goal. I think PSG is going to overperform and play really well.
And so the next game, I'm not even going to make the pick because I think everybody fucking knows. So I'll let you two just go for it on this one.
Yeah. So we got FC Porto versus Arsenal. FC Porto, they're just not at the level of Arsenal. It's just what it is. And then Arsenal getting that second leg at home to their advantage. Porto's having a pretty solid season in the Portuguese league, but I think when you're going against Arsenal, who's just at a different level, they're just going to play better. Yeah, Arsenal has been kind of off and on, a little inconsistent in the Premier League, but this is their chance to make a run. I think they pretty much take care of business in Portugal. I think they win both legs.
Yeah, I think Adam's going to be happy after this first leg. I think they'll get the job. Like you guys said, you even kind of alluded to it, Julian. The Portuguese league is really, it is a competitive league within Europe, and there are some top teams, obviously, Sporting, FC Porto, even teams like Braga. There are other top teams in this league, but how often are they facing them? And Arsenal's coming week in, week out, with higher level competition. So I think genuinely, if you're comparing obviously player to player, Arsenal beats them, but obviously Porto can play up to the level and their players can go up to that level, but it's also going to be, can they do it for 2 legs? And how consistent can they be throughout the 90 minutes plus at a time with this Arsenal team? And yeah, I have to say first leg, I think if I'm not wrong, it is in Porto. If I'm not incorrect.
Yes, it's in Porto, and then they play at
Porto.
the Emirates.
Yeah, I think Porto is going to be shooting for a draw. To be quite honest, I mean, obviously, I'm not saying they're not going to want to win, but I think they're going to kind of be saying, you know what, if we can get out of Portugal with the draw, and we can take it to London, then we're not going to say no to that. So I think it'll be interesting, but I think Arsenal's got it pretty good. But I think a draw. I'm going to predict that. I think a draw for the first leg. So.
All right. So
one more match to go.
The one that is just.
I mean, I'm just gonna start.
I'll say this: they're two teams that it's a great matchup, but not in the way that you think it is.
Yeah. So I'm gonna start out. So first of all, the last game we're talking about is Napoli versus Barcelona. Napoli will be at home for the first game, and Barcelona will be at home for the second leg. Napoli, they're both teams that are struggling this season, but Napoli, I mean, come on, they're struggling way more than Barcelona. At least in my opinion. I mean, they're mid-table. They're exactly mid-table. They're 10th. Inter with 63 points, they're sitting 10th with 35 points, nearly a 30-point gap. They're not having a good year. At all. 10 wins, 5 draws, 8 losses, only a 5-goal differential. It is the Champions League, so you never really know. This could go either way. Napoli can play up to Barcelona, but I don't see it happening.
Go ahead, Will.
Yeah. I honestly just copycat what Adam said. I think Napoli, obviously, was it a couple weeks ago they played against in the Coppa Italia, it was against Inter, and they lost that final. If I'm not wrong, or semifinal, but I think it was a final. But yeah, they just looked very.
Yeah, it was a final.
It was a final. Okay, yeah.
Yes.
So obviously they'll have Victor Osimhen, back. Obviously the wonder boy of Napoli, and rightfully so. I mean, he's incredible. On and off the ball, what he does. The Georgian, I don't want to butcher his name, but Kasharvili or something. I want to say.
Let me give this a go.
Mm-hmm.
Let me give
Hold
this
on.
I just know I'm going to say it so bad.
Oh boy, this is. Hold on, I got this.
He's got it. He's got it.
Kvicha Kvartskhelia. It looks worse than it is. Oh no, Kvaratskhelia. Kvaratskhelia. Okay, I can't do this anymore. I quit.
Dude, this is don't come to this show for names. We've been so bad.
But yeah, that guy, he, obviously their work ethic. I mean, they didn't win a Serie A title last season, off of luck. They won it off of the backs of these two guys very specifically, and other people on the team as well, but I think they'll definitely bring something to the table with Barcelona. I think if I had to say one word going into this fixture coming up next week with Napoli, they look pragmatic, and especially the team that they're going to match up against. They don't want to face teams like Napoli. Napoli can be very explosive, obviously, especially getting Victor back, Osimhen, that speed up top is incredible with what they can bring, So I think Barcelona's defense also can be like I said, pragmatic at times and questionable. Araujo is obviously a world-class center back. Nobody's saying that he's not, but at times can be questionable, and a lot of other parts of the field can be questionable, especially within the midfield of Barcelona. So I think Napoli, I personally see them matching up well in this. I don't know if I have the balls to say that they're going to pull it off, but I could see a tie first leg, or even a Napoli win 2-1 or something.
Dude, I don't know. I've been so back and forth on this game, and as the resident Barcelona fan, I don't know. I don't know how to take. I mean, first off, let's start off with this. So this is Barcelona's injury list as it stands right now. Sergio Roberto, terrible. Doesn't matter anyways. Romeu, doubtful. Marcos Alonso, back injury, early March. Joao Felix, ankle injury, early March. Gavi, out for the season. Fernando Torres, probably not going to make it. Balde, out for the season. Like, dude, this team is riddled with injuries. But even before the injuries, I just don't think Xavi's a good manager. His tactics have been rudimentary. They're not good. They're not getting the most out. He's not getting the most out of his players because I believe this Barcelona team has talent. They're just not meeting it. You have so far, Joao Felix has been disappointing and inconsistent, but I don't know if it's necessarily all on him. I think a lot of because there's moments where Joao Felix is on that field and he's the best player on that team. I don't care what anybody says. Like that last, not the last Clasico, but the one before that, he was the best player against that Real Madrid midfield and defense. Like, and they're not getting the most out of Lewandowski. Lewandowski has been playing better this season, and I think having a little bit more help in the midfield has been better. It's been great to get Pedri back from injury and kind of solidifying your first three choices, I would say, which is Gudigan, Pedri, and De Jong. But the attack is lacking so much. I mean, their best attacker is Lamine Yamal, which, look, I think he's incredible. I think he's been playing super well. Dude is definitely the future. He's probably the best player to come out of La Masia in a very long time, probably since Messi. The dude has been playing absolutely out of this world. But they can't necessarily get it done against quality teams. And Barcelona can always play super well again and get the results that they need against these teams that are of lower level, bottom table La Liga. But when it comes to the big matchups, they can't get it done. They look like they're lost. They look like they can't create chances. That's probably the biggest thing, because I don't even want to say that they haven't been clinical. They just can't even really create chances. And then defensively, they've looked awful. They've looked so bad. I like Araujo. I think he's not a bad player, but Christensen has been a terrible pickup from City. He has been so bad. They have no depth on that team at defense. And then obviously Ter Stegen being gone doesn't help. It's just, I think it's a combination of the injuries. It's a combination of the tactics not being good, not being able to create chances, and players just not living up to how good that they should be playing. Because you look at a team with a midfield of De Jong, Pedri, and Gudigan, and Lewandowski in front of them, and Joao Felix, and Cancelo, who's also been another one inconsistent. Like, that team should be so much better. And I feel like Xavi benching Cancelo and benching Felix has hurt a lot of their confidence. And just, look, those guys shouldn't be benched for Fernando Torres. Fernando Torres is fucking trash. I don't care what anybody says. Stop playing that man. I fucking hate Fernando Torres. He is so terrible. Like, I don't understand. Like, why are you playing Torres over Joao Felix? Joao Felix, which apparently Xavi never wanted in the first place. Like, you're going to bench him, but play Fernando Torres, who's been here for 2 years and hasn't shown an ounce of class. He's been fucking terrible. I don't get it. But now like you said, you look at Napoli, who's been struggling this year. He's coming off of winning the league for the first time in, how long is it? Like 20 years or something like that?
Wow. Yeah.
And look, you're getting a Victor Osimhen who played really well in the Africa Cup of Nations, made it to the finals, eventually lost to Ivory Coast. But like, I don't know what you're going to get. I think it's going to be, it's really tough. But I think Barcelona fumbles the bag. I think Napoli gets through. I think Napoli is, even though Barcelona's at the top of the league, they're playing. I think Barcelona continues to get worse. They're continuing to struggle. The injuries are starting to really pile up. And you've already, like, I think the team has lost faith in Xavi. Xavi's already saying that he's gone and he's leaving, stepping down. I think that's just that was Laporta's way of just being generous to a Barcelona legend instead of just saying that he's fucking sacked. He's like, all right, let's. I genuinely believe that's what it was. If it was any other guy, it would have been like he's fired and he's gone. But the fact that it's Xavi, they're going to like, all right, we'll let you finish it out. But I think they lose this. I don't think there's enough depth. And they lose this game. So I'm on an island as the Barcelona fan. I'm the only one predicting them to lose. So all right.
Yeah.
But anyways, we can end it off there. Any final thoughts, guys?
I think we've covered all of it. It's been a long episode, but I think we can call it there.
Yeah, man. I mean, missed 2 weeks, so it was a lot to catch up on, but we did it. Will, thanks for joining us. I greatly appreciate your insight and watching the show and reaching out to us. It means a lot to us, more than you think. So,
I appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for bringing me on, and hopefully we can look forward to maybe doing this another time. So I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, for sure,
absolutely.
Man. For sure.
That's what this podcast is all about. It's in the name. Real fans. That's what we want. Yeah. So it's all as planned. That's how we want the show to be.
Sweet.
All right. Absolutely. Well, you guys know where to find us. If you guys haven't done so already, if you made it to the end of the show, please like and subscribe to the channel and like the video. We greatly appreciate it. And hey, if you guys who are listening, who've made it to the end and want to join the show, send us a message on social media. We'll reach out to you. We'll try to bring you on. So yeah, see you guys in the next one. Peace out, everybody.